Every morning, the most powerful man in the world woke up and wrote in his journal. Not plans. Not orders. Warnings to himself. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome. He owned the world. And every single morning, before anyone else was awake, he was already fighting himself. This is the practice he used. And it has nothing to do with waking up early. Think about what your morning actually looks like. The alarm goes off. Your hand moves before your eyes open. Within 30 seconds, you're inside someone else's world, their news, their outrage, their agenda. By the time you get out of bed, you've already lost the morning. Not to laziness. To other people. Now consider this. Marcus Aurelius commanded armies. He governed 70 million people across the Roman Empire. He was the single most powerful human being on earth. And yet his mornings, the first hour of every day, belonged entirely to himself. He didn't start with messages. He didn't start with plans. He started with a practice. The same practice, every morning for 20 years. And it changed how he saw everything. Most people think they know what meditations is. They assume it's a book of wisdom, something Marcus wrote to teach others. It wasn't. Meditations was a private journal written in Greek, a language Marcus used precisely because it wasn't the language of Roman administration. He never intended it to be read. These weren't lessons for an audience. They were warnings he was giving himself. Reminders he needed to write in order to actually believe them. When you read Meditations, you're not reading a wise man dispensing wisdom from a mountain. You're reading a person fighting, every single day, to become who he wanted to be. He wrote, "Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." This is a man preparing himself for a difficult day, not by pretending it would be easy, but by naming every hard thing he expected to face, before he faced it. That's the first practice. Lesson 1, Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. The name sounds dark. The practice is the opposite of dark. Before his day began, Marcus would mentally rehearse what could go wrong. Not because he was a pessimist. Because he understood that the mind, when surprised by difficulty, collapses. When prepared for difficulty, it holds. He didn't list the names of people who might frustrate him. He listed types. The ungrateful. The arrogant. The deceitful. He wasn't building resentment. He was neutralizing the surprise. Because when you've already imagined the difficult person before you walk into the room, you don't react. You respond. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The pain isn't the thing. The pain is the gap between what you expected and what happened. Premeditatio Malorum closes that gap." Here's what this looks like in practice. Before you open your email in the morning, before you look at your messages, pause for 60 seconds. Ask, what is the hardest thing likely to happen today? Name it. Say it out loud or write it down. Prepare for it mentally. Then release it. You're not predicting disaster. You're removing its power to surprise you. Marcus Aurelius did this as Emperor of Rome. He walked into rooms containing people who wanted him dead, senators, military rivals, courtiers whose ambitions would never be satisfied. He survived because nothing they did could catch him off guard. He'd already imagined it. You don't face that scale of difficulty. But the practice works at every scale. Lesson 2, the Stoic Mind Check. Most people start their day asking, what do I need to do? Marcus Aurelius started his day asking, who do I need to be? There is a difference between those two questions, and it matters more than most productivity advice will ever admit. He wrote, "In the morning when thou risest unwillingly, let this thought be present, I am rising to the work of a human being. Not the work of an emperor. Not the work of a military commander. The work of a human being. Character first. Duty second. Every morning, before Marcus considered his schedule, he considered his character. Was he the man he wanted to be yesterday? What would he need to be different about today? Not in terms of tasks completed, in terms of how he showed up. His patience. His honesty. His clarity. The mind check isn't a performance review. It's not a guilt session. It's 5 minutes of intentional attention on who you're choosing to be before the day decides for you. Here's the contrast. Modern productivity culture has us opening task managers, reviewing priorities, checking our calendars. All of this is real and necessary. But it trains the mind to think in terms of output. What gets done, what doesn't. Marcus's practice trained the mind to think in terms of character. Who did the doing? When your character is settled before the day begins, everything that follows is cleaner. You don't get destabilized as easily. You don't lose yourself in small frustrations. Because you started the day by deciding who you are, rather than letting the day decide for you. Lesson 3. The one decision. Every morning, Marcus made a single decision before any other decision was possible. He drew a line. Inside the line, his judgments, his responses, his character, his attention. These were his. Everything he could actually influence lived inside this line. Outside the line, other people's opinions, the outcomes of events, the unpredictability of the world. These were not his. No matter how much energy he directed toward them, they remained beyond his reach. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't a passive idea. It doesn't mean you stop caring about results. Marcus cared intensely about results. He fought wars, resolved crises, built infrastructure. He worked with ferocious purpose. But he kept his attention inside the line. Every morning, the practice was simple. Name one thing outside your control that has been draining your mental energy. Write it down. Draw a line through it. Not because it doesn't matter, but because your energy belongs somewhere it can actually move something. Think about where most of your mental energy goes on any given morning. The difficult colleague you can't change. The outcome of a project that's out of your hands. The opinion of someone who hasn't decided what they think of you yet. All of that is outside the line. All of that is territory where your attention produces no result, only exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius, running the largest empire in the history of the world, made this decision every single morning before he did anything else. He knew that the moment his attention crossed the line and started living in what he couldn't control, he was no longer capable of influencing what he could. The one decision isn't about not caring. It's about knowing where your caring is effective. Tomorrow morning, before you open your phone, do 3 things. 1. Name the hardest thing likely to happen today. Prepare for it mentally. Then release it. 2. Ask who you intend to be today, not what you intend to accomplish. 3. Name one thing outside your control that's been draining your energy. Write it down. Let it go. This takes 5 minutes. Marcus Aurelius did a version of this every day for 20 years, while running the largest empire in the world. You don't have to be an emperor. But if you want to stop losing your mornings, this is where you start. Meditations Book 2, Chapter 1. That's where this practice lives. It's free on Project Gutenberg, linked in the description. If this helped, the next video covers Seneca, who was somehow even more connected than Marcus Aurelius, and who wrote the most practical guide to choosing the right people in your life. I'll see you there.